right. Well, welcome to another episode of Whiskey Waste Away. If you don't know me, I'm Chuck, and today I got with me DJ Doggett. I did say that correct, right?
You did. You got it right.
Awesome. If you're new to the show, we sit back, we have a glass of whiskey, we talk about anything and everything that comes to mind. Normally, by the end of the show, it starts getting a little goofy. We start talking about conspiracy theories and, you know, funny things because the whiskey's done hit us a little bit. But speaking of, what are you drinking on today?
I'll be drinking on some Blantons. I got this from a work conference in Kentucky.
Oh, nice. I'm drinking on a little Buffalo Trace.
There you go. Old Faithful.
That's right. It's hard to find around this area because Alabama does allocations and you can't really just go to the
Right.
store and pick it up. You have to wait in line.
Okay,
So
I
anytime I
got
go to
you. I got you.
Florida, I grab it off the shelves.
Oh, I'm out in Texas, so it's kind of a free for all out here.
I'm hoping to get out there soon and grab me a few bottles.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Well, give us a little bit of background about who Mr. DJ is.
Yeah.
I've talked about you on our other shows. I've
hmm
bragged on you some of the stuff that we're going to talk about later. But give me a little bit of backstory. Where'd you start from? How did you get into Strongman?
Yeah. So lifelong athlete. I actually started out as a baseball player as a kid growing up. Was a little on the chunkier side. I held on to quite a bit of a baby weight until I hit my growth spurt in high school. And then once I got to high school is when I fell in love with football. And ironically, man, I was going to play baseball in high school until I walked into the coach's office. And at the time, I grew to a tall, lanky kid, perfect for first base, right? And the coach goes, "You're going to play first base." But I grew up playing shortstop. So I was like, "No, I want to play shortstop." He said, and he's a very old school coach. He was like, "You're going to play first base or you're going to hit the door." I got up and I was like, "All right, I guess I'm just sticking with football." So,
Well, you went to, I mean, not jump ahead, but
no, you're good.
I did a little bit of research on you. You played college at football, right?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
keep going. I'm sorry. I
yeah. No,
wasn't
you're good.
sure.
You're good. We're free flowing here. But I didn't play any sort of organized football till I got to high school. Fun fact, it was all just backyard stuff. So I was always a good athlete, but as far as like the knowledge of the game, didn't have much of it. And so I thought it would be a good idea to play quarterback in high school because everybody knows the quarterback. And I'll tell you what, Chuck, when I hit my growth spurt, I didn't know how to use my new body. I looked like a baby deer when I tried to run, man. It was a little tough for me. I ain't gonna lie. But then sophomore year, I figured out, okay, I still am an athlete, just had to use this new skeleton, if you will. And then my sophomore year, man, I played every position under the sun. I played quarterback, I played wide receiver, I played tight end, I played outside linebacker, got moved up to the varsity. And then my junior year, I was a tight end and wide receiver. And then I also started to run track. Was on varsity for the 110-meter hurdles, the 300 hurdles, and the 4x2, which I anchored. And then my senior year, our starting tight end got hurt because I was splitting time between both positions, wide receiver and tight end. Our starting tight end broke his ankle. I was the next guy in line. They're like, "Hey, DJ, we need you to play tight end." It's like, "All right, we're gonna figure it out one way or another," because I was still new to the game of football as is. And then so started the remainder of the season at tight end. Got a collegiate scholarship to play football at Midwestern State University. Also, with my track and field background, I made it to state in the 110 hurdles.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, and at the time I was about 200 pounds. So like for a hurdler, that's huge. I was
Yeah.
6'4", about 200 pounds. Um,
Jeez.
but yeah, I was a big boy that could move. And then yeah, played collegiately at Midwestern State University in Wichita Falls, Texas. It's right if you haven't heard of it because nobody else has either. It's a Division II school. um, so played tight end my first few years there, and then the fall before my junior year at Midwestern State, coach calls me into his office. He goes, "Doggett, we're low on defensive ends. You're a good athlete. You're smart. We think you'd be a good defensive end." And I was like, "Will I start?" He said, "Probably." Like, all right, screw it. I'll give it a shot.
Heck yeah.
So played, yeah. So I played my last 2 years at Midwestern as a defensive end. Had a pretty good year, pretty good couple of years, and I started garnering a little bit of NFL attention from scouts coming through. Just when they're probably on their way to like OU or something, they stop by Wichita Falls to see who they could probably fish out of a small school, and started getting some attention. I figured, all right, I'm an athletic guy. I had a good couple of years at defensive end. why not? Let's try and give the NFL a shot. Because at the time, I had already graduated with my bachelor's and master's degree, so I had my plan B kind of already in place. And so did the whole draft training, moved to, because I'm originally from Fort Worth, Texas. So moved
Okay.
back to Fort Worth, started training there. Ironically, in the same facility that the old Green Bay Packers receiver Donald Driver, it was his training facility that I trained at for the draft. Um, I when I was a defensive end, I was about 275, 280 pounds. And then
Jeez.
during my pro day training, I dropped back to about 255 because I was being scouted as an outside linebacker. Um, and then when pro day came, I had a whale of a day, man. I had a 39-inch vertical, ran a 4.4 in the 40 at 250 pounds. Um, I can't remember what I bench pressed. I think I hit 18, 19 reps at 225, which for a guy with my arm length is good. And then I wound up getting a rookie mini camp invite with the Denver Broncos. I mean, did stick. Had a few injuries that kind of came about, and then after that, so that was 2019 when my football career stopped. And then I was like, all right, let me go to work. Let's figure this out. Got my degrees for a reason. Um, then COVID hit. Got furloughed, and so I'm like, all right, let's just try to focus on being healthy, as just about everybody and their mother started to do during COVID, which is good, I think, in that regard. And then I dropped all the way down to 210 pounds because I was running all the
Yeah.
time.
Before we get too far past that, I wanted to go back because you were 200, you said, in high school, which that was about where
Mm-hmm.
I was at. I was about 200, 210, but a
Yeah.
lot shorter. Uh, you got all the way up to 275 during college. I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of program did they had you on? And like, was it the seafood? You should
Oh.
see it, you eat it, or
Oh,
was
I was
it
on the
like
seafood
pretty
diet
lean?
for sure. For sure. On the seafood diet. Seafood. And there's also a bit of beer weight involved in that too now.
Yeah, I'm sure. College, you got to.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
hard to imagine you because, like, as long as I've known you, and I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I have only met you in person once, but we've talked over Instagram. I've invited you to different shows. I've never seen you bigger than like I think what you are now.
Yeah.
Because when I first reached out to you, I think you were still doing 90 kilo,
I was walking around at about 217, 220 at max,
and you said you're what 6'2",
about 6'3".
6'3". Oh, makes more
Mm-hmm.
sense. My neck was hurting
Yeah.
after talking to you. Well, you said that you had played all these different positions, and all I could think in the back of my head was, he is smart, because there was like a small time in high school where my coach came to me. I was a defensive tackle. I was short, stocky. Nobody could get below than me, so I filled the
Mm-hmm.
gaps. But somebody came to me in my sophomore going into junior year. They're like, "You're going to be middle linebacker." I was like, I am not smart enough for this. Like, I'm book smart, but not. I'm going to read the play and understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said you did all these different positions, and then you finished it with you got your master's degree. I was like, oh, yeah, he's a very smart person. So, um, which you just recently got a promotion, didn't you? I saw it in some kind of news article this year.
Yeah, yeah. So what I do for my day job is so I prospect major sporting events to bring to the city of Frisco. And Frisco is a town. It's located about 20 miles north of downtown Dallas. It's where the Dallas Cowboys have their world headquarters, where the Dallas Stars,
Okay.
where their team practices, and then there's a smaller arena where we host events. PGA of America is headquarters there, and we have two professional level golf courses. FC Dallas Soccer Club plays our home games there. They're in the major league. They're in Major League Soccer. So my job is to bring outside events, so like national championships, bowl games, things of that sort. To help boost the city's economic impact. So I was on the event ops side of things for a year and a half, and then was promoted to the sales side. So I'm out there. I'm making deals, shaking hands, kissing babies, all that good stuff.
Why haven't you promoted a strongman show yet?
It's funny enough, Chuck. So I actually tried to get OSG to Frisco,
Really?
and I was this close to getting OSG to Frisco, Texas, but
Was it
the
the year
dates
they
would
went to Arlington?
yeah, that very year. Yeah, and which was funny too because that's the year I wound up getting second. So it would have been weird to prospect the event and then podium. You know what I mean? So I guess it worked
Hey,
out for the best.
hometown advantage, right?
Right, right, right. But it's just the dates didn't line up with the arena that Lynn really liked, so they wound up going to Arlington. But I'm trying to get a big one to
Gotcha.
Frisco for sure.
Okay. Well, right now all my shows are not that big, but I'm trying to get there. Maybe one day I'll have enough clout and you can say, "Hey, Chuck, bring one of your shows out here."
Man, you know what? I want to. It's always at a rough time for me in my work schedule because I want to make it out for at least one limit breaker because I've seen them. Every person I know that talked to me about them, they have nothing but good things to say about what you guys do. So I want to make it out there for one. It's just a tough work time for me in that time frame, but I'm gonna work it out. I'm working on it.
I don't know if you saw, we made a post yesterday. We just announced, like, we canceled 26. We had some personal
Okay,
stuff going on that we
sure.
couldn't get it to fall in line, but we've nailed down a rough date, but it's going to be in early June next year.
Okay, that works very well for me actually.
Okay. All right. Well, we ain't gonna talk about me too much. I just throw it out there because I definitely want to have you there if you can be there.
No
Uh,
doubt.
well, you hit on it a little bit. You did OSG, but let's go back. When did you first get into strongman?
So I got into strongman in late 2020. So there's a gym out in Fort Worth, Texas called Metroflex The Castle. Under that whole Metroflex Arlington umbrella. And the owner of it, his name's Randy Dela Cruz. He trained under Ronnie Coleman for a little bit at the original Metroflex in Arlington, Texas. Struck out on his own.
Talked to him on the phone about something. Does he do powerlifting stuff?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
super, super nice guy. Yeah, I found that gym because I figured after football I needed something to be competitive in. I didn't want to do bodybuilding because I didn't want to be. And then no disrespect to bodybuilders, they're a different breed. I just didn't want to be on stage in my drawers posing. That I just didn't fancy that at all. Um, and I thought, okay, maybe powerlifting, but I'm like, okay, 3 lifts and I'm done. I gotta find something, you know. Um, and I didn't know at the time strongman had weight classes. I just, just like the general public, I thought I was just, world's strongest man, like your half Thor, your Drus Viscus, your Ivar Smarstelis, like that's all I thought strongman was at the time. And then Randy saw me training one day, and yeah, like I said, at that time I was about 215-ish pounds, but he saw me doing a farmer carry with 300 a hand, just
Jeez.
on a whim, just because I was like, okay, this would be cool to do, I guess.
Yeah.
And he walks up to me, and I'd never met him before. He's like, "Hey, you're pretty strong, kid. You ever thought about doing strongman?" And I'm like, "Clearly, I ain't a strongman. Like you see me, I look like I should be out running routes somewhere." And he's like, "No, there's weight classes." I'm like, "Come again?" He's like, "No, there's weight classes. Like in fighting, there's weight classes." So I was like, "Okay, I'm interested. Tell me more." And he told me verbatim, he's like, "Hey, come train with me and the crew on Saturday. We do a big, big workout, lasts a couple hours. You survive, I'll train you." The fact that he said, if I survive, I'm like, what the hell am I about to get myself into, man? And Chuck, I kid you not, man, that Saturday workout that I did with him and the Metroflex crew was harder than any football practice I ever had in my life. It was
I believe
nuts. It was crazy. And the thing about Metroflex, they don't believe in air conditioning, none of that. And it was in the dead of the summer, too. So it's in Texas, so it's 110 degrees, no cross breeds whatsoever. You're in there sweating your life away. But I had the time of my life, and I got hooked immediately. Until after I came to, because I damn near passed out at the end of the workout, Randy was like, "Hey, man, you clearly are a tough kid. You're clearly strong. Come back Monday. Let's talk shop about, what strongman looks like to you." And I was like, "Okay, what's like pain you going to look like, obviously." And I appreciate Randy to this day. He goes, "Don't worry about it, dude. Like, I'm just going to train you." Like, so he trained me for
He saw
free.
potential. Yeah, he
Yeah,
saw a lot of
no
potential
doubt. No doubt. And then I did my first show at Metroflex in October of 2020.
Trying to think because there was I think he did a powerlifting show for the Ronnie Coleman like expo or something, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
was like 21 or 22. Me and him had some
Yeah.
conversations about how he was doing his powerlifting and strongman. Oh, he was doing, I think, the Mammoth bar at the time. The Mammoth bar exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was when Arsenal still had their bar, the
Mm-hmm.
Mammoth bar, and I was actually running the world record system for it. So I
Okay.
was tracking all that, and I think he reached out to me about it for that. Well, what was your first show? You said 2022. What was it? Was his like what was it
Yeah. So it
called?
was called, what the hell was it called? It was like the Berserker Showdown or something like that. And
Okay.
originally I was going to do the novice in the 105s. But in the open 105s, they had to combine that class with the 120s. And then I show up comp day. He goes, "Hey DJ, would you weigh in this morning or yesterday?" I was like, "I think 226." He's like, "Cool, you're gonna do the open 105s." It's like, "Huh?" He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna do the open 105s." I'm like, and obviously I'm not afraid to jump into anything head first with my football background and everything. So I was like, "All right, I guess we're gonna figure this shit out on the fly." And and I wound up placing second there. The guy that I lost out to, he had been competing for like 10 years on the local scene. Super cool guy. His name's Ricky. Was very nice to me. And then from there, I was like, okay, I don't suck at this. Not world class right now, but I could do something with this at the very least. So from then on, it was just, I was hooked.
That's awesome. It's funny that what all you were saying, it sounded a lot like my experience with Strongman. You know, I had no clue there was anything outside of World's Strongest Man or the Arnold and stuff like that. I decided to host one just for fun at a gym that we own in Alabaster in Alabama. And I think I had 7 or 8 guys show up, counting myself. We had a good time with it. But one of the guys that showed up said, "You know, you're scheduling this really close to another show." I said, "What do you mean another show?" It's like there's Alabama's Strongest Man like 2 weeks after yours. I was like, I had no clue. He goes, "It's year 10." I was like, "Oh, my bad." So I went down there and signed up for it as a novice. That was the only one and only novice show I ever did. Got my butt kicked, and moved right into the open. I was like, I'm not doing that anymore because there was too many good athletes in the novice. There was like
Yeah.
triple the amount of novice athletes as there was open, and
Woo!
they were just as strong. The guy who kicked my butt in every event, he ended up going to place second or third at the limit breaker his first time competing in it, and he was like 19, 20 years old. He was just an absolute unit of an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so you did your first show in 22, came in second. So you never did novice at all.
No. Dove head first
awesome. I
into it.
love that. Yeah. One of my athletes right now, he did his very first show 2 months after being coached by me. I finally convinced him to jump into it. He got second in the super heavyweight open
Nice.
in Louisiana's strongest behind Tyler Davis. So
yeah, that's no small feat at all.
no, I was like, hey, you came
Good on him.
second to a world champ. So
Yeah.
now
Who's possibly the greatest 90 kg strongman of all time.
I would say yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I'm a little biased. I mean, he's an Alabama boy, so I kind of have to root for him. But when let's see, your first international show, that was in 22 or was that 24?
My first internet, Germany. Well, I mean, if you can, I mean, I did OSG in 23 actually too.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you did 23.
Yeah, I did OSG in 23. So how I qualified for that, I won the Southwest Regional that was held in Mesquite, Texas. And what was cool about that is number one, I went into that show with a broken wrist. I fractured it. I think I want to say 5 weeks out, and it was doing sandbag carry. I was just goofing around trying to pick up a heavy sandbag, and my wrist was sweaty. Yeah, snapped it up. Oof. Yep. So like I was goofing around trying to pick up a heavy sandbag. My wrist was sweaty, and so it slipped, and I tried to catch it, and then if you were standing within about 10 feet of me, you could have heard the snap. And then I go like that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go home now. This ain't good.
Yeah, imagine so.
Yeah, and so originally I pulled out, but the pressing event for the regional was a circus dumbbell, and thankfully it was my left wrist that I broke, and I'm right-handed. So I'm like, we can at least figure something out.
Wow. Well, you know, I'm going to be kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but you saying that, I don't want to forget my train of thought because I'm bad about that. But I do have a question because, you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and a lot of mental health stuff is coming from mental toughness. And you've already mentioned that, you know, you jumped into a show completely into the open. You fractured your wrist going into OSG. I know based off of keeping up with you last year, you had probably one of the most like roller coaster rides you could have at OSG. And I don't want to be mean about it, but my question to you is, how does like a world-class athlete like you zero an event and then mentally get your head, like, what did you say to yourself to get yourself back to the point where you finished second overall with a
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great question. To be honest, Chuck, going into OSG, just in general, log press is not my strength, and I have no problem admitting it. But I mean, I've hit that contest weight multiple times in training too. That day, I just, for whatever reason, I didn't have it. And also, kind of leading up into that competition, OSG in 2024, so I'll jump back a bit. I had a very rough go of it. Like I was healthy, nothing was wrong. Just for whatever reason, I had no juice on competition day, and I finished like 18th, which isn't like terrible, but it wasn't where I wanted to be. And so like that next year, I almost went on kind of a redemption tour of myself just to prove to myself that I still belonged at that level. So I kind of went back to my roots. I went back to the Southwest Regional in 2025, like truly trying to build myself back from the ground up. And so won the Southwest Regional in 25. And I was like, okay, next step naturally is nationals and Strongman Core Nationals. So train for nationals, placed third at nationals. Like, okay, what's next? I'm starting to build my confidence back. America's Strongest Man. All right, that's where I mean America has the best 105s in my opinion. So if I can have a good showing in the 105s in America's Strongest Man, I belong at the top level. Go to America's Strongest Man, which ironically was 3 weeks after Strongman Core National, so I was still beat up. Wound up placing third at America's Strongest Man 105. And the guy that won it, in my opinion, is probably the greatest 105 of all time, Zach McCarthy. So that's no small feat. If I'm going to lose out to somebody,
I get it that way.
Matt McQuiston got second, and I think it was by half a point. I got second.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, he and I were right there, and then McCarthy was a few points ahead of us. And I was like, okay, I finally gotten to the point where I'm comfortable enough to take another stab at OSG. And so during that prep, I had already, in my own brain, I had built that good body of work. Like I had that good baseline to where I could stand on. And so going into OSG 25, and I zeroed that first event. Had I done it the year before, that comeback would not have happened. I'll be honest right now, that comeback would not have happened. But I had spent that entire year just establishing that baseline of, look, you've been shaken by worse before. You put in the work. Now it's time to perform. The chips are going to fall where they may. If you draw a sucky hand this go around, then all right, make up for it the next round. You know, it is what it is. It's that old football player mentality of next play, right?
Yeah. Goldfish.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I zero that event, and I'm like, okay, does that suck? You better believe it. But I also had this confidence that every single event leading after that, I knew I was very good at, if not the best at.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next event, frame carry. Kind of been synonymous with frame and farmers the past couple of years. So I've won. So I've won the frame carry event, and that bumped me from dead last up to, I think, 20th place going into day 2. And then day 2 was the deadlift medley and the steeplechase. The deadlift medley, I don't use straps when I deadlift on a normal bar. I hook grip everything just because that's comfortable for me. I've also been told that that's psychotic, but, you know, whatever. We're still rocking with it.
I was about to say, how is that comfortable? Hook grip is not comfortable.
I'll tell you, man, I think I just need to feel the bar in my hand. Like, I don't understand it. Like, you throw me and straps on a regular deadlift bar, and I look like I'm trying to learn how to walk again. Like, it's so funny. And then
I'm not a figure 8 guy. I like the 9s where I can actually hold on to the bar. But
even the 9s.
Really?
Even the 9s, I'm like, all right, I gotta kind of cinch in, figure it out. Do I have it rich tight enough? And then by then I've lost 10 seconds. But yeah, so I hook grip the first 3 bars because it was first bar was 675, 725, 765, and then the last bar was an 800 on the Cerberus Mammoth bar or whatever they call it, the Kratos bar. Got the first 3 really fast. Had a valiant effort at the 4th one, just didn't have the juice, but that was still enough because I got so fast. I got, I think, 6th overall in that event.
I was
and
gonna say,
that
I don't
bumped.
think but maybe like 2 or 3 people actually got the 8th one,
Yeah,
or the final
I think
part.
two. I think three people, 105s got it. Four actually. Yeah, it was four. But yeah, nowhere near, nowhere near a lot of people finishing. So that bumped me from 20th up to 13th place. And then I was like, all right, because at that point I was like, okay, I just want to make it to day 3. That's all I want right now is experience. But also, again, having the confidence knowing that the 4th event was a sandbag steeplechase. Anything that involves moving your feet, I'm very confident in my abilities against the best. And I think too, what helped that event was that the guys that were in my heat. Like I always, and I'm sure you do too. You get a rush of who you're competing against when, especially at the top competitor. Like you know, you have to elevate your game. And in my heat was Emmanuel Pascari, Matt McKeegan, and Thomas Owens, who were 3 of the best international 105s. You could argue that Emmanuel Pascari is the best 105 of all time comfortably. And then Matt McKeegan himself is on my Mount Rushmore 105s. So with those 3, and then here's tall, lanky DJ Doggett. It was so funny. One of my friends took a picture. You see, I think the tallest of those 3 is Matt, and Matt's like 5'10", and then you see my 6'3" ass is sticking out like a sore thumb.
It is unusual to see someone that tall that's not in like the 120s or open.
Yeah. But I turned it on that event, and then I wound up winning my heat and that event, and then that bumped me up from 13th into 8th place, which secured my spot in day 3. And then how they do at OSG is they reshuffle the points based off of if it was only the top 10 competing, and that format bumped me up into 3rd place going into day 3. And day 3 was dumbbell and stones, 2 things that I excelled at. And then dumbbell went well, stones went well, and I remember because Piscari finished the stones, we knew he won, but we were unsure of who 2, 3, and 4 were at that time. And so I'll never forget, it was myself and then Brandon Burley were standing kind of just looking up at the screen, just waiting for something to happen. And Matt McKeegan was right behind us. And then the scores fell. I saw that I had jumped into 2nd, and then Burley jumped into 3rd. We both looked at each other. We were like, holy shit, we did it. We podiumed at OSG.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was the final, like how far behind first were you when it was all said and done? It wasn't far.
It was like 6 points. And I mean, not to take anything away
it was
from
closer than that. I thought it was like 2.
I think it was 5 or 6, but it was enough to. And I mean, I didn't go back and do the math because I have immense respect for Emmanuel Pascari. He's one of my I love him to death. He's a great man. And one of the guys told me, he was like, dude, if you had gotten a rep on the heavy log, you would have won the show. And I was like, are you shitting me? Huh? How about that?
Man, I'm an average local level guy myself, but there's been so many shows where I'm like, if I'd have just not tried the heavy and just did something on the light, I would have moved up. But you can't think that way. And I had my athlete the other weekend. He was like, if I'd have just done this, I was like, stop. You're still competing. Keep going.
Yep,
Ignore
exactly.
that. You gotta have that goldfish mentality, just like you. And I mean, that is probably one of the best comebacks, I would say, of any strongman in the last decade that I can think of. I can't think of any other high-level competitive show like that where someone starts the show with a 0 and finishes 2nd in the world. So you 2nd strongest in the world because you 0'd an event.
That's pretty wild to say, huh?
Yeah. But I mean, how did it feel mentally, like immediately after? Right after that happened, what was going through your head? I know you were really good at brushing it off, but like, how did that feel right after that?
Oh, right after? No, it stung. No doubt it stung. It's like, shit.
How long do you give yourself? Is a better question. How long do you give yourself to think about it?
At that point, because I think it helped that OSG switched the format to where it's okay. You do your event. It's like a few classes at a time. You do your event, and you have maybe like 30 minutes in between. Whereas it used to be, you do your event and you're there all damn day. So I think that helped me, but I try to give myself only a few minutes to feel sorry for myself, and then it's like, okay, you got to warm up for the next event because number 1, it's your best event, and number 2, because you play so poorly, you're going to go in the first heat. So you don't have time to feel sorry for yourself. You know what I mean?
That's true.
But no, initially after I was like, shit, I spent all this time building myself up, and here I am laying an egg in the first event. People are like, what the hell is this guy probably doing here? That's immediately what went through my head.
No. And I mean, it happens to everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the best you could think of, they're going to have an off day or something's just not going to go right. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the difference between, someone who shouldn't be there and someone who definitely belongs there is
Yeah.
how they can turn around and bounce back from it.
Mm-hmm.
That's an incredible story. But that kind of lets me ask this next question. Mental toughness. How has that been for you? Is that something that you've had to really work on throughout your life, or is it just always kind of come natural? Have you always had that kind of mentality because you played sports all your life, or is it something
Yeah.
that you've had to deal with and work on and build character from it?
I'll say it definitely has ebbed and flowed throughout my life. I mean, we all have had stuff that we've gone through growing up. I've had my fair share of stuff that I went through growing up. Not growing up in the best neighborhood in Fort Worth, you kind of had to have thick skin just to simply survive, you know. And so I think that established a good baseline. But as you know, when you experience some things that you weren't quite prepared for in life, it shakes you a little bit, because obviously you can't prepare for everything, that God throws in your way. And so I've definitely had moments where I didn't react the best way, where I would, throw a tantrum, or I, hit the panic button sooner than I should have, instead of just being more cerebral about a situation. So definitely just it ebbed and flowed. But I think football was the best thing that happened for me, because I had a great role model of mine who was my offensive coordinator in high school. He said, football is probably the best sport that imitates life, because there's shit that goes great, there's stuff that goes absolutely terrible, but you only have a split second to figure out what went wrong, and then you got to move on because the next play's coming. The next, and just like in life, the next play is always coming. It's not football doesn't slow down for anybody. Life doesn't slow down for anybody. You have to build a sense of adaptability. You have to learn to adapt on the fly. You can't just stew in every single thing that goes wrong, because that's how you get blown out in a football game, or that's how you're stuck in life spinning your wheels, going nowhere fast, if you just sit and brew on things. Not to say that if you make a mistake or something goes wrong, you don't watch film, you don't analyze, okay, I did this when I should have done that, and then correct it, as you move forward. But I had to learn, and I sometimes still fall into this trap because I'm human, that I can't just stew in things. I have to read a situation, figure out what went wrong, and ensure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't take that time to, let yourself kind of deal with
For
those
sure.
emotions, but, don't dwell on it so long that it affects the next step, that it affects the
Exactly.
next event kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's just the funny line that we walk as human beings. It's like, okay, I can't stew in it. Boom, I have to move on so quick that I don't take the time to feel what I need to in a healthy way. You know what I'm saying? Versus, and then the opposite end is, I'm going to stew in it for 6 months and it's going to screw with my entire life.
Yeah. You can't ignore it. You got to
Mm-hmm.
process it, get it out the way.
Yeah.
Because if you ignore it, then it's going to come back later and it's going to
Oh
screw
yeah.
you up even worse. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so, I mean, I try to preach that to all my athletes, all my friends, anybody who comes to me for training, personal training, otherwise. Like, you're going to have days that suck. You're going to have days that feel horrible, but do what you can. Go home.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow's the next day. Start off fresh.
Exactly.
I mean, not to throw it out there again and, keep harping on it, but, you've had the broken wrist leading into OSG. You had the zero event. You also, at the last, when I finally met you in person, you got super sick right before a world record attempt, missed weight, had to change weight classes, all kinds of stuff, and you still performed insanely well. What was, so you were coming in for the world record at the 105? That was
Yeah.
what
The
you were
105. Yeah.
but you missed weight because tell that story. Like that one
Yeah.
there was
So,
also kind of really impressive to me.
yeah. So the week leading up to, I got norovirus, which, to put it in layman terms, is like the stomach virus from the seventh circle of hell. Like
Jeez.
I was throwing up. It was coming. I couldn't keep anything down. It was coming out of both ends. I was in a bad way, and I was like, okay, well, At the very least, maybe I'll be able to make weight because I can't keep anything down. But I go and then I get IV'd and just trying to take fluids down because I'm not gonna just fly out there with nothing in the tank. Well, my body was so depleted, it held on to every single thing that I took in, which wasn't that much. And then when I got to Georgia, I was about 236, 237, which, I mean, if I was healthy, I could probably sweat that off in like a day and be fine. But because I was so sick, that's where I was kind of having this choice. I was like, okay, do I suffer through and try to shave off this weight that I had just gained back and possibly not perform well, or do I go, okay, text Matt, come with, and I had been in contact with Matt that week leading up to, so he knew everything that was going on with me, so he wasn't caught by surprise by it. I was like, okay, do I try to take in some fluids, try to eat some food, and then go out there and at least just try to hit something big, just as a favor to Matt, because I love Matt Powell to death. He's been one of the nicest people to me since I started the sport. And so that's kind of the plan we took. I was doing my homework. I was like, okay, well, what's the heavyweight national record just for shits and giggles? At the time, it was 276. I was like, okay, that's in my wheelhouse. We'll see what the hell we got on comp day.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't a national though, was it? Or was that the American record, or was that the world record for an amateur?
I think it was the American record, the American heavyweight record.
I knew it was Lucas Hatton who said it, but yeah, he said it at like North America's, or was it America's Strongest?
I think it was ASM that he said it. I have to go back and
maybe it was America's.
I think it was at ASM that he said it.
I may have said it wrong on the live stream. Then I was saying this is world record, amateur world record. But
sure, sounds great
because America's the strongest. That's all we know.
Exactly.
But I mean, what'd you end up hitting that day?
So I hit 281, and you know what's funny is that so I went back and watched the video, and it looked like it jumped out of my hand. But Chuck, I felt like absolute garbage when I got it to my shoulder. I was like, oh my God, I don't even know. I felt
honestly
terrible.
It looked like you just tricep extension. Like it looked so good. Yeah.
But I felt terrible like that. And God bless Kate Hickman with Strong IV, because she essentially made sure that I didn't die that weekend. Like the second that I got to the gym for the weigh-ins, she was like, I didn't say anything. She was just like, come see me. Let's get you IV'd up. Let's get you at least in working shape.
Hey, and that's an awesome plug to his channel sponsor, Strong IV. Make sure you check them out if they're anywhere near you. I think they go to like ASM, they go to Strong Court Match, USS Match, all that stuff. Strong IV will take care of you.
They will.
Right here.
Yeah, she brought me back from the dead.
That's awesome that she was able to take care of you like that. Because you ended up attempting, what is it, 300?
Yeah, at that point I was like, you know what, shit, I'm out here, let's try it. And then I tried to clean it. I was like, yeah, I ain't got no gas.
Man, we were all stunned because you showed no fatigue, you showed no exhaustion, and even though you said it felt horrible, it looked so good. We were like, oh, 300 is going to go up, no problem. And then we saw you struggle with it. We're like, no, he's feeling it now.
yeah, I felt that. I was like, well, I got it today, but thank you for having me out.
Oh, man. Well, you've had an incredible run just the last few years. So kind of recapping, you went from 2021, 2022 doing your first show to 2025 getting, a podium at America's Strongest, getting second place at OSG. What's on the horizon? What's coming up next for you?
So actually, next week I'm doing the Pro Strongman League 105 World Championship out in Virginia Beach.
We actually talked about that on our podcast this past weekend. We were kind of running through the names there, and I was like, I see DJ being at the top of the list. I was like, there was somebody else that I wrote down their name somewhere, and I was like, it's going to be between Alex Soka.
Yep.
I was like, I see DJ and Alex kind of battling it out. I think that'll be good, depending on what the press event is. I was like, depending on that event.
No, that's true, Bill. That's true. And I have no shame in that either.
Well, it's not even you. He is an incredible presser. Like I've seen some really good presses out of him. Him and his brother both compete together, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're both Oklahoma boys.
Oh, I thought he was Texas.
No, they're in
That's even better rivalry then.
exactly. You got the natural Texas Oklahoma rivalry right there. I gotta do a show out for the Lone Star State, man. But yeah, that's what's next on the horizon. So for those of you that aren't familiar with PSL, so it's a 10 events, 5 on each day. And the thing about it is that it's fast paced. There's not going to be that hour in between events. It's okay. You do event one, and you got maybe 15, 20 minutes in between that and event two. So you're going through testing strength, endurance, mental toughness, the whole 9 yards. And what I love about it, it's just the 105s.
Yeah. Well, it's the 105s and then
and the 82 women.
Female, yeah, the 82 women. It's going to be a stacked lineup. What, you got 10, 12 athletes right now?
In the 105s, there's like 20, 25 guys.
Oh, I only saw. I was going through the announcements the other day. I only saw like 10 of them. I don't know.
And the only reason I know is because we have a group chat with all the guys. So I'm scrolling through and I'm like, well, wait, he hadn't been announced. Oh shit, he's coming. Cool.
Well, can you give us any spoilers? Anybody? Give us your podium picks.
Okay, I'll go the humble route. I'll never. The thing about me, even if it's a show that's just made for me, I will never pick myself a podium. That's just how I am.
All right, but excluding you, who's going to be?
Excluding me, I always give the returning champion the benefit of the doubt. Alex Soka, defending champion, he's up there. Brandon Burley came second last year.
Yep.
He's looking phenomenal, and he placed third at OSG, so he's still on form. I have him up there. And then third, I'm going to try not to be biased because I love Jeff Laney to pieces. He's been a good friend of mine. We met each other at nationals, and we formed a great bond. And he was another reason why I didn't die at my record attempt in Georgia, and he doesn't know this too. So in between my second and third attempt, I was sitting down, and I was like shaking, and I looked up, I was like, Jeff, I need water. And like he was like, okay, he didn't think twice of it. He just went and grabbed me water. He didn't know that I was like about to pass out again. But getting back on track, I'd say between either Jeff Laney, Stephen Bradley, and then so a guy that people aren't talking about enough, in my opinion, is a guy from Ukraine. His name's Yevgeny Nestenko, and he placed fifth at OSG Worlds this past year in the 105s. He's placed second at Europe's Strongest Man 105s. I think he's the best 105 coming out of Ukraine, and I think that entire portion of Europe. He's super well-rounded, no real weaknesses at all. I think he would be my dark horse for third.
Okay, that's a heck of a lineup. I'm excited to see the results on that one.
Yeah,
I was kind of curious because I know, I got a personal connection with Tyler Davis, and he did the 105 at Arnold. Has there been any conversation? Have you heard anything about him possibly moving up in PSL? I know he's doing 90 this year.
Yeah.
PSL, but I'm curious if you think, how would he do if you think he was in this crew?
Oh, that's a damn good question. I mean, for sure, he's top 10 in that show, in my opinion. Like, no doubt about it. I think he could.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. I think he truthfully could crack the top 5 right now if he went full on 105.
Yeah, I just had recorded episode 3 of World's Strongest Unknown, and him and Meg were actually part of it. I'm editing it right now and looking back at some of the scoring. I was like, I could see where he's on that line. He should be somewhere in the 90 to 105. I'm just curious how you feel he would do.
I think he would fare very well. Yeah, I think he could crack top 5 at 105 PSL. I mean, shoot, was it third at the Arnold?
Yeah,
I think it was third at the Arnold, or was it? What? No, he did because Stephen Bradley won, Jeff Laney got second, and then Tyler third. But Tyler was, I think, in the lead for a good portion of it.
Yeah, that's right. Him and Meg, I think, got third.
Yeah, so there's no doubt in my mind he would fare well at the 105. I selfishly would love to see it because I've never competed against him, and I think it'd be really fun to compete against him.
Well, I mean, I might make that happen soon.
You did tell me you changed the dates for Limit Breaker now, so down the pipe.
Now, I will say this. This is brand new news to everybody. I've not announced this publicly, but I'll go ahead and say it here. So if anybody watches, they'll know. this is going to be the first year the limit breaker is under USS, but it's not just a basic USS show. It's a
Okay.
pro-am with a potential invite to the Pro International.
Nice.
So if you based off the number of athletes we plan to have, if you come in first or second, you'll get invited to the Pro International show and potentially earn your pro card. And there's going to be a lot of other stuff, but it's going to be 220 instead of 105.
Okay.
So
Ooh.
is that going to be an issue? But you can do the open.
I can do. I was about to say I might have to do the open. I'll message Tyler and be like, hey man, you wanna make some noise in the open?
That's the only caveat to it is it's going to drop the weight class slightly.
That's fair.
So
That's fair. Yeah, that'd be tough to make 220 now for me. But I'll workshop. I mean, I used to. I think before this past OSG, I would walk around at around 235. But I made it a point to put on a bit more muscle mass. So now I walk around at about 245, which I mean, I could still do an aggressive cut and be fine. But also, I'm known for typically not having to water cut ever. I've never done a water cut my entire career. I would just diet down.
Never?
Never.
Oh.
And ironically, PSL will be my first time doing a water cut.
Wow. And that's the funny thing. If you do a water cut, from my experience, if you don't cut more than like 20% of your body weight, or sorry, 10% of your body weight,
yeah,
you don't have to have an IB or anything until you hit that 20%. So for you could drop 20 pounds right now just with water and then refuel, no problem. I actually had a client of mine who dropped 30 something pounds for a show. He messed up, got off diet for a little while, but he wanted to be in the specific weight class. I got him 30 pounds down. He replenished fine, even though it was a little more than he should have without an IV, but we got him back in time, and I think he got first or second in the show, so it's doable.
I mean, it worked, but no doubt. But
yeah, it's just not it's not pleasant. Once you start getting past like that 10 to 12 pound, it starts getting treacherous.
Oh, brother, I can't. And it's funny too, because a lot of the guys that are competing at PSL, they're doing, 20 plus pound cuts, and I'm like, how the hell are you gonna survive? I mean, but they got it down to a science.
Man, there was a guy one year at Alabama's who walks around at like 220, 230, and he cut down to 181.
Oh, how good.
And Alabama's is probably one of, like, out of all the shows that I've been to, we've live streamed, we've volunteered, we've worked at shows all over the Southeast. Alabama's is probably the harshest environment because it's direct sunlight on the beach, no cross breeze because you're in a walled off area. It's mid-August, and this dude did a nearly 50-pound cut, and he won the show. But God Almighty, I don't know how he replenished himself after that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That good. I think the craziest cuts that I've seen, like as 105s, was. Do you know who Tommy Sharp is?
I know the name. I'm not familiar.
So he's based out of Texas, down in the Waco area. So he's kind of like me, a taller 105, but he can walk around at about 265 pounds. And then I think Camby even too.
More than 10, 15 pounds.
Yeah, ain't no way. And I think even Nick Camby too, in his last go around of the 105, he was walking around at close to 260.
He was one of the bigger cuts for a long time. Yeah. He got a little bit of flack for that because he was cutting down. He should have been just doing the open.
I mean, he made it work, so it didn't bother me. I was like, hey, he knows what he's doing. It's part of it. His game's new shit. I ain't mad at it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've competed in super heavyweight as a 200 just for the fun of it because there was no other weight classes. It was just an open.
Yeah,
it was fun. I didn't come in last, so that's all that matters.
There you go. That's always at the end of the day. That's what you want when you jump up a weight class.
That's right. Well, you've done some impressive things. I want to give a couple of shout outs because I mean, your farmer carries. All right. What's the most you've done now? Like I know I've seen you do 500. Is that the most you've done?
That's the most I've done, and honestly, I just wanted to prove that it could be done. As a 105, I know there's been a few opens that have taken a couple steps with it, but
you did take a couple steps. You walked like how far? 12 feet?
It was about 12, 15 feet. Like it was a good chunk.
Yeah. I mean, that's a solid run. I've seen
Yeah.
competitions that had that much distance in their farmer carries. So, we had a short turnaround. We had to drop it and turn back. But yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
500 per hand. What's the
Mhm.
most you've done on a yoke? Because your carries are crazy.
I've done 1100 on a yoke.
That's insane. Well,
Mhm.
I guess I need to up the weights for the limit record. Um,
Oh, so I'm here. I'm hearing there's a yoke, huh? All right, all right. I get down with that.
man, I like yoke, so there tends to be a yoke of some sort.
You won't hear a complaint out of me.
There you go. We're starting to get to that back end, starting to feel a little bit of the whiskey.
Yes, indeed.
We've talked about your story, we've talked about some of your accolades. Let's start having a little fun with it. So
Let's do
give me your top five strongmen of all time, because we've got a poll right now on our website. If you go
it.
to our website, it's got a computer generated based off of 1970 through 2026 scores, and it gives you the all-time top 10 and gives you the current based off the last 2 years. And the all-time top 10, I can't remember off the top of my head, but first is Z, second is Brian Shaw. It's got third Mitchell Hooper, and Thor at
Interesting.
four. So
Interesting.
give me your top five.
Well,
Oh yeah, Martins was or Martin Martis Putinowski was number five. That was I can remember the top five.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. So give me your top five.
All right. I'm gonna have to do a combination of bias versus, fact. I think right now Big Z's the GOAT, in my opinion. Most accomplished. He's held damn near every record, at least at some point. He's your GOAT. It was funny too, I think, when people were talking about Mitchell Hooper being the GOAT. Big Z made like a reel and he pans to his massive trophy room, basically like, hey Mitch, what you're doing is cute right now, but until you've done all this, you're not the GOAT. Which I'm like, hey, if there's one guy that can say that, it's freaking Zydrunas Savickas.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So he's my number one. I'll put Mariusz Pudzianowski as my number two, and that's biased because when I first started getting into strongman, I'd watch his videos all the time, and he's still a damn freak of nature. Like I don't get it.
Yeah. Him in that Eddie Hall fight, I was so disappointed that Eddie got the knockout so quick because Mark he came in looking like a unit. Like, was he like 50, 60 years old right now?
He's in his late 50s.
Yeah,
for sure.
Still makes me jealous of how he's built.
it's insane. If I looked a fourth of that at that age, I'll be happy. But Marius is my number two. I'll put Brian Shaw three. Part of me wants to say Half Thor at four, and then Mitch five. I think I'll do that. Half Thor at four, and then Hooper at five, and then I'll give an honorable mention to Tom Stoltman because of what he's done lately with World's Strongest Man, and what he's won it, I think, 3 times.
He has, but we've talked about this a lot. He's only won Worlds consistently,
right? And that's why that's why for me I can't put him there just yet until he's like, okay, like goes to Rogue or an Arnold and does this thing. Then I'm like, okay, I wouldn't. I don't think he has plans on it, honestly.
Yeah. And that's hitting on mental toughness again. I watched World's Strongest Man this year because they actually live streamed it on the Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, that camera. Yeah.
So I actually watched most of the show, and when I saw that he ripped his hands, I turned to somebody I was sitting next to. I was like, "He's not going to make it out of the groups." And they're like, "You don't think so?" I was like, "No, he's mentally not tough enough." And I hate saying that about somebody, but just based off of how he picks and chooses what he's doing, and he only really goes all in on Worlds, I could see it like from the behind the scene clips that he wasn't going to push through that, and I hate that. But
yeah,
he's very talented, but I just don't think he has the mental fortitude to stick it out. That's why he's not in my top five, not even like, of current. But I agree with your picks. I think they're all very consistent. I think the issue with like Hooper right now versus Big Z or Brian Shaw at their peak is the talent pool. Because, I mean,
Right.
not knocking the current guys, but it's very different when you have Mitchell winning every show consistently to the point where he can skip event 5 and 6 sometimes. Whereas you had Brian Shaw, Big Z, Halfthor, and Eddie all in the same show. You know, you had all these guys who won worlds by half a point. Like Brian, he ended up losing a worlds to Big Z by a tiebreaker. And it was because they hadn't implemented the stone loading system where that was a tiebreaker at the time.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
I mean, I think the level of talent pool right now is so divided. The top 2 and top 3 are so much above everybody else. It's not like it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where everybody in the top 10 were fighting it out.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Let me ask you this too. Like, speaking of the talent pool, because I think like it's Rain O'Neill. What are your thoughts on him?
I think he proved himself, and that I actually did a public apology after this last Worlds. I was like, I counted him out. And Trey was like, no, I'm still counting him out. I don't count until he does something other than Worlds. No.
Fair.
But I did a public apology because watching the show, the tapes don't really tell. Just looking at the score, you see him losing to Mitchell Hooper in the end, but you didn't see how dominant he was in the events leading through it. The deadlift, when I saw him do the deadlift, that's when I knew he was real, because I watched every athlete come up and do their deadlift one after another on that live feed, and you had known like powerhouse deadlifters like Trey Mitchell struggle. I think he got 3 reps total or something.
I think it was 3. Yeah.
And he was one of the best ones. Like, he was top 3 or 4 on that event.
Yeah.
And then you had Reno and Mitchell come out. Reno knocked out 4 before Mitchell got his 3rd. And Reno stopped and looked over. It was like, I don't need to do anymore. It wasn't that he was tapped out, exhausted. Mitchell was fighting through it. Now, granted, Mitchell, he did hurt his knee or whatever, but every athlete in that show struggled to get 2 to 3 reps. Reno knocked out 4 and then looked to the side like, do I need to keep going or are we done? And then he did the same thing with the bag toss. Mitchell Hooper was falling down, throwing it as hard as he could to try to beat him.
He was putting his life into those throws.
Yes, and Reno still was beating him. I think the fact that Mitchell Hooper had to go 100% and then only squeak out a half a point win or whatever it was, a 2-point win.
Yeah, something close.
Beat him. Yeah, and Reno beat him in the yoke run. That right there tells me, because Mitchell he is the yoke run champion right now. Like, I don't know anybody better than him. So
maybe me when I bump up to the opens, but we'll find out.
Yeah, that's right. But I made I think I made a post or something about it. I was like, the yoke run caught my attention. The deadlift confirmed he's legit. The stone run, I was like, yeah, he's a contender. You know, he's won me as a fan now.
Yeah.
I do want to see him at another big show. His pressing, that was the other thing that really caught my attention. He's improved so much since last year.
Oh, yeah. Because what did he hit? What was it, a 440 he hit at World or something like that?
So he struggled with the 420. Like, he's kind of stuttered with it. And I was like, this is probably where he's going to fall off here. And he came out and did the 440, same speed. He stuttered, but then he pushed through it. He fought through. And I was like, all right, that's when he's won me as a fan. He ended up coming out 3rd in that event. I was like, you can't, or 3rd or 4th. I was like, you can't progress that much over 12 months and not be killing yourself to do something like that.
Exactly. I think my concern with Reno, because I mean, he won me over at his first World Strongest Man, mostly because I kind of like seeing guys just kind of come out of nowhere and shock the world. Yes. I have a thing for that. But, you know, the year that he had leading up to this World was rough for him because, I mean, he went to the Rogue, didn't do well, went to a Giants live show, didn't do so well. So I was like, damn, I don't want him to be a flash in the pan. So I was like, come on, Reno, at least podium or make the final at this World's Strongest Man. And then seeing him do what he did. And then it's funny enough. So my coach sent me a screenshot of Reno doing the deadlift. His belt was unmatched.
Really? Well, that makes it even more impressive.
Yeah, he was doing it beltless.
I mean, he did it so smooth too.
Yes.
You know, but it seems like he's he's had a run of bad luck. You know, I kind of brushed it off as him making excuses, but after seeing his performance at Worlds, I'm like, either he's like Tom Stoltman, where he is
Mm-hmm.
100% focused on Worlds, or he
Mm-hmm.
truly is like apparently he had like some kind of virus, like you did,
He
lost a
had
ton of weight.
salmonella before the Arnold.
Yeah, yeah, and then he got sick before the Rogue apparently too. So like,
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think he needs to move out of wherever he's at. Was he in South
He,
Africa
he's
right now, or
he's in South Africa.
he needs to move somewhere else to stay healthy for a little while and just
Yeah,
figure out what's going on because
or stay in a bubble.
that too. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just he needs to take better care of himself because
Mm-hmm.
he's got so much talent that he could take
Oh
another.
my
He could
God.
be the next Mitchell Hooper, where he just runs away with shows.
Mm-hmm. I agree. He's just got that much talent. It's crazy to see. You know, like I said, I was very happy that he had the performance that he did, just so he could prove to everybody that okay, this wasn't a flash in the pan. This wasn't a stroke of luck. Like he's one of the best in the world right now.
Oh yeah, I think he has definitely solidified himself as like a top five
Mm-hmm.
across all
For
shows
sure.
right now.
For sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
and I hate to say it, I didn't even have him getting out of the groups. The group he
A
was
lot of people, honestly, a lot of people didn't. A lot of people that I've talked to, they didn't have him making out of groups.
in. Well, it's good to see him doing well. Hopefully, it progresses and we can see him at the Arnold
Mm-hmm.
or the Rogue this year, or the Rogue this year, the Arnold next year.
For sure, because the Arnold this year, it quickly turned into America's Strongest Man featuring Mitchell Hooper.
It really did. It did. There was so many people that backed out, got sick, got
Yeah,
hurt.
yeah.
Uh, and I mean, I'm kind of worried about the pro men right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's been such a drop off with the big names, and we're losing the Shaw Classic now or the Strongman Classic.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's going to be kind of deterrent to a lot of these strongmen. I mean, you the what they put their bodies through and the amount of time and effort it goes in, you don't have a big return. Like Reno, he's still working a job full time,
Yeah,
and even though he's winning World's Strongest Man, if you win World's Strongest Man, you should be able to sit back and do nothing but train. Like that,
exactly.
we've got to improve sponsorships. We've got to improve
Mhm.
the publicity around these strongman
I agree.
athletes and at all levels because everybody knows world's strongest athletes. You know, well, I'd say not everybody, but if I walked up to somebody and showed them a picture of Brian Shaw, more people than not are going to know who that is.
Yeah, no doubt.
But if I walk up and show them, here's the 105 world champion or here's the 90 kilo world champion, they're going to be like,
They're like, what? Yeah, no,
yeah,
I agree.
unless they are in depth in the sport, they don't know anything about it. So, what's
Mm-hmm.
something that you think the 105s could do better, like to get, or any weight class to get more publicity? What do you think we need to do as a sport?
Oh man, it's so funny. I think Matt McKeegan made a post about it a few days ago after Britain's Strongest Man. Um, it's hard to get others to care about weight class strongman if weight class strongman don't care about it enough themselves to show up to these shows
Hmm.
and to not only compete, volunteer, come to freaking watch. Like we have to care in order to get others to care. And he made it. Then to me, that's a brilliant point. You know,
Yes.
I'm a competitor, no doubt, but first and foremost, I'm a fan of the sport. Like I'll listen to all the podcasts. When I'm available, I'll go to shows. When I can, I'll compete. If I'm not competing, I'll help out at a local show, this, that, and the third. So we really need to see more of that from like we have to help ourselves before we go looking for a damn handout. Which I mean I get, you know, we'll need big sponsors and whatnot, but we need to show that we can sustain enough to warrant a decent sponsorship. I also too think that you have to, and I don't want to go all WWE necessarily, but you look at a lot of the open weight strongman, like they're kind of characters. They have their own personas, if you will, and like they have their own personal brand. So we need more weight class athletes to kind of take on that mantra, if you will. That's kind of why I started, you know, doing the stuff like I'm doing. Because my whole thing with strongman is that when you think strongman, you don't think somebody that looks like me that's tall, lean, and athletic. You think, even as a 105, you don't necessarily
Oh, you think
picture
a
somebody
bowling
that
ball?
looks like me. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You think a bowling ball rock solid dude, not a guy that's
Mhm.
6'4", lean, and could run at the speed of light necessarily. And I really kind of harp on just having some sort of personality, not to the point where you're cartoonish. I'm not saying go full Macho Man Randy Savage, but have a little some sense to yourself, And I mean,
Yeah.
it's being from going full Macho Man as your personality. Shit, do it. That draws people in. It gets somebody to care. That's kind of, and again, that's what that kind of played into my whole thing at OSG. Like I was different. I was waving my dreads. I was bopping to whatever music I was listening to, and that got people going. Who the hell is that guy that just ran across my TV screen? You know what I mean? So
You know,
I think we,
I'm not saying this in any kind of negative way, and I'm going to pre-apologize to anybody I offend with this conversation, with this comment. But you stand out so much because of your personality. But I think it's also in contrast that there's a high percentage of strong men who are on the spectrum, and they can't put themselves out there. They can't be that
mm-hmm,
boisterous person. They get
mm-hmm,
in there, they lock in, they do the show, they
yeah,
walk away, they thank you, and then leave. And,
yeah,
you know, when you're in a crowd of people who are on that level and you have a boisterous personality already, you're going to stand out way ahead of everybody
mm-hmm,
else, just
mm-hmm,
personality wise.
yeah,
And I think that's part of the reason why it's so hard to get the the 90s to support the 90s, the 105s to support the 105s,
yeah,
because
yeah,
they are so locked in on themselves that they don't feel comfortable stepping out of that comfort
mm-hmm,
zone. And
totally fair.
and again, I'm not saying anything bad about these people because
Yeah,
they're some of the best athletes in the world are on some level autistic or have something
mm-hmm,
like obviously Tom Stoltman,
yeah,
but and he's very vocal about that. But you still have to put yourself out there. He even gets on live streams and he does his,
yeah,
TikTok and YouTube lives and stuff. I think, we've got all these people in this sport because it's such a welcoming sport and
mm-hmm,
people can feel comfortable
mm-hmm,
in a not so comfortable environment. But that is that kind of catch 22. How we get these people the attention they deserve
right,
when they really don't want it. Some of them
yeah.
really don't want it. Yeah.
That is a brilliant point that you do bring up for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's not gonna happen overnight, but um, I think too with what PSL has been doing currently, especially for the 105s, like you have people doing podcasts about it. Us, all the boys, we're tagging each other in our training reels, hyping each other up, hyping ourselves up, hyping the show up. We need more of that, especially at the top level, because I feel like there will be a good trickle down effect with your regional competitions, your local shows, things of that sort, and then just us as top level 105s, just again being involved, helping out, bringing along whoever's coming in after us too, and just building that bond, and then also too kind of what we've got going on, especially amongst the boys, that playful level of trash talk.
Oh yeah.
Like like there's no harm in that. I mean, especially like I was a football player and I grew up in the ghetto. Like trash talking was just a way of life
Yeah.
growing up for me. Within reason, of course. Nothing's ever said that's too disrespectful. But like we need again just a way to make other people care about weight class strongman because I mean naturally you're going to be drawn to somebody that's 6'8", 350 pounds. You're going to be like, what the
Mm-hmm.
hell is that guy doing? Oh, he just picked up a rock. That's pretty cool. Versus somebody that's 6 foot, 220 pounds. You're going to be like, whatever. Like just
Yeah,
naturally
because
off of the visual.
I mean, we've got guys who are 90, 105s lifting 400-pound stones. Was it
Exactly.
Adam Kostis? I can't ever say his last name, but he's the Thigh King
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
He's got
Yeah.
the world
Thai
record
King.
stone. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's
And
damn
the
near at a
dude
500
is
pound stone.
exactly, and he might weigh 90 kilos, and he's long, tall, and
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of respect for that guy. He came down and did the limit breaker one year, drove 11 hours from Wisconsin or Michigan or wherever it was, drove overnight, slept in his car, did the show with uh, a dislocated or broken something on his arm, and still finished out the whole show, and then drove home. Like didn't stay the night again, and but he put in the effort. He did a great job. I was proud of him.
That's a hat tip to Adam.
But
That's a
we,
hat tip to that. Insane.
yeah. But I mean, we've got these people at the 105, the 90 kilo that are doing things that open strongmen can't do, or
Yeah.
are doing the same weights. And we've got to push that attention down
For sure.
get the whole sport in general. The U.S. does not appreciate strongman like any other country does.
Oh, brother.
If Eddie Hall walks down the street, he's getting mobbed. If Brian Straw walks down the street, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, that's a tall guy." You know, it's not the same.
I could speak volumes to that, man. When I did that show in Germany, when I did Ultimate in summer of 24, when I came fourth, we got treated like we were the freaking Dallas Mavericks. It was ridiculous, especially as 105s. It was crazy.
Yeah.
They treated us so well over there.
And we put so much stock into sports in the U.S., but it blows my mind that this is one that falls off. I mean, we're paying millions of dollars to kids in college to play football through NIL deals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We got world-class athletes in America who are still working full-time jobs to make ends meet.
Exactly.
Still, you know, very, very different, but just because one has a certain logo attached to his helmet, he's got a brand recognition.
That's it.
So
that's it. Crazy.
You know, that's going to be our goal for 2026. The rest of the year, just bring more recognition to the sport.
Exactly. My whole thing with Strongman is I want to leave it better than how I found it, and however I need to do that is what I'm going to do.
Oh, I think that's a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got to have one goofy thing. Give me your best conspiracy theory before we get out of here.
Conspiracy
that you don't have. You can give me one that you don't believe that you just heard, but I want to know one that you believe a little bit, or you think there's some truth to it.
Oh, this one's silly as all hell, but that pigeons aren't real, but that they're sent by the government, because when the hell have you ever seen a baby pigeon or a pigeon's nest?
That is a fact.
Never seen one in my life.
No, and I hate birds. They got in my attic and tore my house apart. I hate birds, so I'm okay with thinking they're drones so we can take them out.
I'm telling you, I think I heard it. It was in 2021 I first heard somebody say it, and then I'd start over the past 5 years. I would just go around, because I'm outside a lot, and I'm like, the hell, there's no pigeon's nest. Where the hell did you come from? and I mean, I'm in Texas. We got wildlife galore. In the South in general, there's wildlife galore.
That's why the birds land on the power line so they can recharge.
There you go. Yeah. So I don't think
that's a good one.
Yeah, pigeons ain't real.
Pigeons aren't real. They're devices by the government.
They are. They're always watching. They're always watching.
Oh yeah.
They're watching me right now. Cheers.
Cheers. I think I had one other goofy question I was going to ask you. I can't remember what it was now. Well, let's end it here. Let's do this. If I have you on this time next year, what do you want to have said you accomplished in the last 12 months?
I want at least one world championship to my name, whether it be a PSL, whether it be an OSG Ultimates, because I mean those are kind of the holy grails is 105s, and at that, and I mean I've told a lot of people this too. At that point, I will be a full-fledged open weight strongman, because that's kind of the trajectory that I'm on. I mean, again, I love being a 105. I truly do. It's a special group of guys. It's also hard being a 6'4" 105, because it's great, but it also can hurt you, because I could, like I've told you, I was 275 and I could carry it very well.
So you've been there, so you've had that weight.
Exactly. Yeah. And I can still move as fast as lightning. So I want to see what open weight DJ has to offer the world before I hang up the weightlifting shoes. So I'll probably be about 280 probably the next time, or in a year, be about 280.
That'd be perfect, because June of 27 you can come in as a open weight class.
That's right. Won't have to worry. The weight cut be damn.
There you go.
Be ready to start out with the big guys.
Well, I forgot to ask you this. How old are you?
I'm 30.
30? Oh, you're still young. You still got plenty of years in the sport. Yeah, that's prime strongman right there.
Yeah, one of my buddies is older than me. He's like, you still don't know what the hell you're doing yet.
You still learning, yeah.
Yeah.
We got in at the same time, but I got in at 5 years ahead of you. So I'm
That's all right.
35. I'll be 36 this
You,
year.
you took the accelerated course.
That's right. You know, I knew growing up that like I was going to be world's strongest man one day. Like 9th, 10th, 11th grade, I was stronger than everybody in my class. And then I peaked at 5'9", 5'10". And I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to lift that Atlas stone onto the 6-foot podium. So I transitioned to bodybuilding for a little while. But then like,
There you
I was
go.
like, I'm not wearing my underwear on stage. So
Yeah, can't do that. I'm
look
sorry.
like a bodybuilder and not go on stage.
For sure.
Well, man, this has been awesome. I definitely want to have you back on maybe in
Absolutely.
a year when you got that title and we can discuss all that and how it's changed you.
For sure.
What outside of Strongman? Give me, what's your next goal in life?
Oh man. That was my wife yelling. She just got home. So speaking of life, I mean, God willing, being a father for sure. My wife and I are both very family oriented. She's the youngest of four. I'm the middle child between two girls. Gaggling nieces and nephews. So we're at that point in our lives where, like, we're seriously, planning for being parents. So would love for that to be a possibility. So hopefully, when I do that, our next podcast in a year when I'm 280, I'll have a little mini me right here just saying what's up to you. And then other than that, just continuing to just travel. We love traveling. I mean, ironically, nowadays we travel because of Strongman, but I mean, it's taken us to Germany. It's taken us to Japan. It's going to take us to Scotland in August. So just seeing more of the world, while we can.
Heck yeah. Well, man, congratulations, by the way, that you're making that decision to move into having families. It's a blessing. I've got 2 little girls myself. Actually, one of them had to jump on the podcast with me last weekend because she wasn't feeling too good, and I had to hold her the whole time we were doing the show.
Yeah.
But it's nothing like being a father. I'll say that.
For sure. And that's just
feeling.
one thing that we're kind of like craving right now because we have between the two of us, we have 9 nieces and nephews. So we've gotten plenty of practice with the young ones. So it's like, all right, let's do it.
Sounds like me and my wife, and I think she's got 16 on her side of the family, nieces and nephews, and yeah, she's actually got one that's older than her. But we were 30 when we had our first one, so it was during COVID. We actually found out right before lockdown that we were expecting.
Wow.
So it was like February we found out we were expecting. March everything shut down.
Wow.
But then we had our second one a couple years after that, and we're done for sure. But we got 2 beautiful girls, and it's been probably the best blessing in my life.
That's amazing, brother. Truly.
Well, thank you again for joining me tonight. Cheers.
Thank you for having me, brother. Cheers.
See you again next time.
All right, we'll see you, man. Thank you.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.